This is Good Morning Indiana, working for you.
It is 5 o'clock here on your Tuesday. Good morning to you. I'm Lauren Casey. Here's what's making headlines on this May 26th. Polling locations are up and running this morning for early voting in the primary election. We'll break down what you need to know before you cast your ballot. Victims of COVID-19 remembered on the front page of the New York Times this weekend. Among them, a nurse and Butler graduate. What his family is now doing to honor his name. And the Tour de Cure is encouraging you to get active for diabetes awareness. This morning, we're looking at how the money raised will help fund diabetes research. But before we get to our top story today, we need to get a check of your Storm Team 6 forecast. Todd Clausen is standing by from home on this Tuesday. And Todd, it was a hot one for our Memorial Day holiday. What can people expect as they head out the door today?
Yeah, Lauren, officially 88 degrees was the high temperature in Indianapolis yesterday for a Memorial Day. Lafayette, Muncie, you got up into the 90s. Today, very similar temperature-wise across the area. Not much has really changed in this forecast from yesterday to today. So what do you need to grab before you go? Well, you definitely need to grab the sunglasses, the sunscreen, and drink plenty of water. This early season heat, your body not quite used to it out there. So especially if you had the holiday weekend off, and this is your first go-round, especially if you work outdoors. Make sure you have that water handy here throughout the day today. Temperatures right now sitting in the 60s and 70s for us. It's still on the muggy side, but it's clear here this morning. All the storms are still off to our west. That's where the main storm track is. But just with the heat and humidity around, we may be able to manufacture just a few isolated storms this afternoon, like we did yesterday. High temperatures today in the mid to upper 80s. Heat index values, once again, Lauren, will be topping off in the low 90s.
All right, Todd, thanks so much. Let's take a look at traffic as you're heading out on the roads. Here's a look on the near east side, I-70 at Rural Street and Keystone Avenue. Good news is you're heading to work this week. We do have the eastbound and westbound lanes of I-70 open on the east side after some long-term closures. So that's good news. Maybe your first time heading through that area after those projects wrapped up. So we'll keep you updated on other issues for your commute. But right now, things are smooth sailing. New from overnight, one person is dead, 3 are hospitalized after a crash on Indy's northeast side. This happened around 12:30 near North Emerson Avenue and 36th Street. Police tell RTV6 that a crash involved a blue Chevy Camaro, an SUV, and a parked car. One person from the Camaro was pronounced dead at the hospital. 2 others are in critical condition, and a 4th victim is in stable condition. The driver of the SUV fled the scene. Police are still working to find out what caused the crash. The Indiana primary election, postponed due to the pandemic, will be held on June 2nd. Early voting begins today, and our Alyssa Donovan is joining us live from one of the 3 early voting locations this morning in Marion County. Alyssa is at Broad Ripple High School. Good morning to you. What do people need to know?
Good morning, Lauren. So voters can come here or to the City County building or to Beech Grove High School starting at 10 a.m. this morning to cast their ballot. And if you are concerned about social distancing, there are some steps that are being taken to make sure that you and other voters are safe, as well as those people working at the polling locations. Voters will be encouraged to use hand sanitizers. Poll workers will be wearing masks, and you will see markings to make sure that you stay at least 6 feet away from the next person. Special hand coverings will be provided for you so you don't have to touch voting screens directly. So far, we're told there has been a significant increase in people voting by mail for this election due to the pandemic.
You know, in the past, most people have voted in person. We expect most people to vote by mail this election cycle. But voters who vote in person, they should still expect long lines due to the 6 feet social distancing requirements.
There really is no line between checking.
For this election, only all registered voters, are able to vote by mail. If you applied for and received an absentee ballot, the county clerk must receive your completed ballot by noon on June 2nd. And if you are planning on voting at one of the 3 locations that are opening today, they are open during the week from 10 to 5, and then they'll be open this weekend from 11 to 7. Reporting live, Alyssa Donovan, RTV6.
Alyssa, thank you. A political race is expected to generate a lot of attention, and that's up in northern Marion County and Carmel. It's the 5th District congressional race. So Republican Susan Brooks, she's not running for re-election. So the open seat has 20 candidates trying to get it. There are 5 Democrats, 15 Republicans in the running right now. We've compiled profiles of all the candidates who responded to us. For more information, you can just visit the homepage. Go to theindychannel.com. We asked all those candidates the same 5 questions, so there you can learn a little bit more about each candidate before you cast your ballot. Now to the latest on the coronavirus outbreak and the number of new deaths. It's much lower, but it's unclear why right now. The Indiana State Department of Health reporting 8 new COVID-19 deaths, which is actually 4 fewer than reported Sunday. It's not clear if the lower numbers can be attributed to a downward trend or delay in reporting during the holiday weekend. A total of 1,832 Hoosiers have died from the virus. The state also confirmed more than 300 new cases. 31,715 people have been diagnosed with COVID-19 since the pandemic began. The state also updated the impact of the virus on long-term care facilities. The total positive cases in nursing homes statewide is 4,086. That's an increase of 461 from last week. Meantime, 876 people have died in nursing homes. That's an increase of 144 from the previous week. However, nursing home deaths account for roughly 47% of all COVID-19 deaths in our state. The names are just a fraction of those that died from COVID-19, including where they lived and who they were. It took up the front page of Sunday's New York Times. The page has since been shared and seen by millions. One of those names is Caius Kelly. His family is here in Indianapolis and he's believed to be the first nurse to die in New York City from COVID-19. Kelly's sister, Maria Sharon, is working to make sure that her brother's death is not in vain. We talked to Sharon, who says that she wants people to know more about her brother. Caius was a dancer and he got his degree from Butler University's School of Dance before he became a nurse. Sharon knows that he put the same passion he had for dance into helping others.
His life and his message, there's so much more. If we could learn to love one another and walk with one another.
Well, Sharon is now pushing for legislation. The Caius Kelly Protection for Healthcare Workers Act requires all hospitals, public and private, to provide CDC-approved PPE for all healthcare workers. Organizers of a rally in downtown Indianapolis say it's their way of honoring those who died to protect the freedom of Americans. Dozens of people gathered at the Indiana War Memorial in demonstration against stay-at-home restrictions meant to slow the spread of COVID-19. A statewide order took effect in mid-March. Governor Eric Holcomb started easing those restrictions in most parts of the state on May 4th. The Indiana Dunes National Park opened up this holiday weekend, and it was a pretty popular spot. This was the scene from Porter Beach. Rangers of the park say thousands lined the beach by noon on Sunday. Not many were practicing social distancing or wearing masks in a large crowd. Some people tried to avoid other groups by setting out their beach towels in the seagrass or off the beaten path. Rangers say rush was expected, and they tried to remind visitors of those safety guidelines. In just a few weeks, the annual Tour de Cure for Diabetes is taking place here in Indiana. This event raises thousands of dollars for the American Diabetes Association. Our Kelsey Anderson joins us this morning with more on where those contributions go. Kelsey, good morning.
When you donate to any cause, of course, you want to know where that money's going. And 17-year-old Jessie Hall wants you to know, when you donate to the Tour de Cure, you are changing lives. Every year, the American Diabetes Association hosts summer camps across the country for children who are living with the disease. It's a way for them to form special relationships, but most importantly, understand that they are not alone. The money raised during the event helps to send kids to camp who can't afford it.
Just to be able to see that kind of age group of everyone that is affected by this is so amazing. Just because I struggled with that a lot, because there's no one when I was little in my hometown that had this. And so seeing a bunch of other people and being so close with them and being able to relate to them more than you can relate to anyone else that you're around is so awesome.
Hall says she hopes folks will still participate in Tour de Cure, even though it will be virtual this year. The Tour de Cure event will take place virtually this year on June 6th. They'll be live streaming a lot of different things over on Facebook Live. Hall and all the other participants hope that you'll still join them. I'm Kelsey Anderson, RTV6.
All right, thank you, Kelsey. If you're going to be out and about exercising today, you're going to be working up a sweat once again pretty quickly as we continue to deal with this heat and humidity across central Indiana. As you walk out the door this morning, many people going back to work. If you do have to travel and get out the house, temperatures will be in the 60s here this morning. We'll start off with plenty of sunshine all across the area, and as we work our way throughout the day, we'll build in some clouds and again the chance of an isolated storm. Right now, all the storms are still well off to our west, so we're not going to have a line of storms heading our way. It's just going to be more of these isolated storms that are going to flare up here and there. Computer models keeping the temperatures slightly cooler, as you see on your screen right now today. A lot of that has to do with some cloud cover, but I think everybody's basically between about 84 and 88 degrees here this afternoon. With the humidity, it's going to feel like the low 90s. We'll talk more about the storm chances not only for today, but in the days ahead coming up in just a few minutes, Lauren.
Todd, thank you. As more people return to work, there are still questions if kids are heading back to school. Coming up, what the government has said so far about in-person classes resuming in the fall. And parking lots at some California stadiums are filled, but not with sports fans. Still ahead why they are packing thousands of vehicles into their space. It is 5:11. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Detective premieres tonight on ABC.
Well, it's a growing question inside of homes across the country. Some parents are now preparing to physically return to work, while the plans are still up in the air about camps and schools. And with limited childcare options, what's a parent supposed to do? White House correspondent Karen Travers explains.
Here you go. It is the burning question for working parents. How and when will their kids get back to school? Millions of Americans are juggling full-time jobs, taking care of the kids, and distance learning.
There's just not enough hours in the day.
Eager to get the country back to some state of normal, President Trump is pushing for businesses to reopen and for workers to get back on the job.
Our country's got to get back, and it's got to get back as soon as possible.
But there's no plan right now from the Trump administration to help working parents, while schools and many daycare centers are closed.
There are no networks right now just because of social distancing. You can't rely on your friend or your family or your neighbor or someone across the street.
Under the White House reopening guidelines, states can choose to open some businesses in phase 1, but they cannot open schools until phase 2.
My company is currently planning to reopen our office at the end of May, but there are several of us with younger school-aged children, and they haven't said anything. They just haven't addressed that point yet.
Schools in 48 states and Washington, D.C. closed for the remainder of the academic year. Many summer camps canceled, including the one Lori Johnson's 7-year-old daughter was set to attend.
That breaks my heart for her.
With the current school year winding down, administrators and educators are already deep into planning for the fall, looking at how and when students can safely get back into the classroom. The president said in early May, young people do well with the virus. But health experts say they're not in the clear, with some children now suffering from potentially COVID-related inflammatory disease. A recent ABC News Ipsos poll found 69% of Americans said they are not currently willing to send their child back to school.
I would not feel comfortable sending my kids to school right now or go to camp because of, there's no vaccine.
So for the foreseeable future, parents are scrambling.
Yeah, it's loading.
Ralphie Santiago's advice for stressed out parents:
just to do your best every day, with them, and make sure that, whatever you're doing, that when your child reflects about this in a year, they say, mom and dad did the best they did, and we had a great time, and it was tough, but, I still love my parents.
Karen Travers, ABC News, Washington.
It is 5:16 as doctors and researchers desperately search for a way to prevent COVID-19. Another vaccine for the virus enters human trials. The first volunteer is expected to be given the vaccine Monday in Australia. The vaccine's maker, Novavax, wants to test 130 people during its trial. The vaccine works by producing high levels of neutralizing antibodies, although those findings were announced in a press release and not reviewed by peers or published in a medical journal. Novavax says that the findings are promising in July and that they'll enter phase 2 with more participants. The parking lot out at Dodger Stadium is packed with cars, but it's not for baseball. Those are rental cars. The pandemic has hit the rental car business hard, so the stadium is being used as a holding area for thousands of vehicles. Santa Anita Park and Angel Stadium lots are also being used. Companies like Enterprise and Hertz are also laying off workers to cut costs. With questions whether public pools will open this summer, many many people are investing in their own. Inflatable pool sales have skyrocketed. Since mid-March, there's been a 165% increase for pools that cost less than $150. Meanwhile, many people who paused plans for an in-ground pool in their backyard are resuming construction. Industry trade group Pool and Hot Tub Alliance predicts it will be a strong sales season as people learn more towards the staycations this year. As you're heading out today, maybe you're at home and you want to jump in the pool. Some people just open their backyard pools, Todd, and it is going to be a hot one. A good day to even have just a little inflatable pool for the kids.
Yeah, you know, anything to get a little water on you would be a great place to be. I went kayaking yesterday down the Fall Creek River through Fort Bend, and there were a lot of people that were in the state park in the river there trying to keep cool. It was great to see people getting resourceful and getting out and trying to beat the heat just a little bit any way that they can. We're dealing with clear skies here this morning and warm temperatures once again. We're sitting in the 60s and 70s anywhere you go this morning. 72 in Muncie, 68 in Bloomington, as well as Indianapolis. 67 is the current temperature in Greenwood and all across the area. Temperatures are basically within a couple degrees of each other. We'll zoom in here to the metro area, and you see that 67 is a pretty common number from Zionsville to New Powell over to Martinsville and then up into the Greenfield area. Now, as far as storms go, we're completely dry this morning and will remain dry throughout the course of the day today, at least for the most part. Once we get into the afternoon hours, we will be able, I think, to flare up some isolated thunderstorms across the area, but the main storm track is still well here off to our west, and so we are not going to inherit a line of storms or anything like that heading in our direction. But again, just with the heat and humidity as that starts to build throughout the day and some instability around, there will be the opportunity, I think, of maybe an isolated thunderstorm starting to flare up across parts of the area. It would probably be after 3 o'clock, and again, they're just going to be hit or miss. But yesterday we had a few out there down to the south and then one up over towards the Lawrence area yesterday, and then the north side of Indianapolis where downtown didn't even get a drop of rainfall. And once the sun sets, a lot of these storms will start to fade away. So some of you may see a storm. Everybody will deal with the heat. Everybody will deal with the humidity. 88 today in Indy as well as Lafayette. A little cooler to the south. Bloomington about 84 degrees. But the humidity is going to make it feel even a little bit warmer than that. This evening, if you have plans to fire up the grill, maybe you thought it was too warm yesterday, not much of a difference here today, unfortunately. If you did feel like it was too warm, mid-80s throughout the course of the evening hours, then eventually down to 81 by 10 p.m. Going forward in this forecast as we work our way throughout the course of the day today, we're at 87. Tomorrow, a little bit cooler, and that is going to be due to just a little more in the way of cloud cover, a little better storm chance, I think, tomorrow. And then the storm chances continue to increase as we work our way into Thursday and Friday as the cold front comes through. So Thursday is potentially the wettest day for us, but not a complete washout. 77 on Friday with some storms, and then the weekend looks absolutely terrific. Sunny skies Saturday, Sunday, and even into Monday of next week with high temperatures only in the mid-70s. Lauren?
All right, Todd, thank you so much. Let's take a look right now at traffic for your commute. Here's I-70 at Sam Jones Expressway to the west side. Traffic here is moving along up to speed in the westbound lanes and on Sam Jones Expressway, but eastbound lanes, those are closed right now between Ronald Reagan Parkway all the way into downtown at the south split. That closure is expected to last through June 28th, so a long-term construction project there for drivers on the west side. However, the collector ramp to 465 remains open from the airport area, so you can take that as a detour. Of course, we'll continue to keep you updated, but if this is your first morning taking this route and that's what you normally use for your commute to get to downtown from areas to our west, you may want to give yourself some extra time to follow the detour route. Well, the Air Force is removing its height restrictions to become a pilot. They used to require pilots to be no shorter than 5'4" and no taller than 6'5". The Air Force says anyone who didn't meet the requirement had to submit a waiver, which was frequently approved. Instead, they say they'll focus on more scientific methods like weight to the length of someone's arms and legs. SpaceX says it's ready to launch NASA astronauts into space for the first time this week. SpaceX is supplying the vessel, and NASA is providing 2 astronauts. The launch is scheduled to take place at Cape Canaveral, Florida tomorrow. This first mission is just a flight test, but NASA says it could eventually certify SpaceX for missions to the International Space Station. The astronauts spent 3 weeks in quarantine to protect them against COVID-19 leading up to this launch. And SpaceX CEO Elon Musk is backtracking a bit on his newborn son's name. Musk announced earlier this month that his baby's name is spelled XAEA12 Musk, pronounced XAE12. Speculation arose that the name might not follow California law where they live, and that's because that says the name can only use letters. Musk's girlfriend, Grimes, since posted on Instagram that their son is now XAEXAXII, which essentially has just changed the 12 to Roman numerals. Maybe he's a baby robot. Who knows? Well, while churches are opening here in Indiana, others out in Ireland, they're staying closed. After the break, the surprise live stream dance performance a group of priests did to help lift spirits. It's 5:23. We'll be right back.
And a tour.
Welcome back. So churches in Northern Ireland are still closed, but that's not stopping a group of priests from lifting members' spirits. After Mass on Saturday, they began Irish dancing. It was all kind of on the St. Peter's Church live stream. It's since gone viral. They performed this jig across the altar, as you can see there, and they bowed when their performance was done. The priest said they did it because, quote, we all could use a good laugh at these strange times. I like the kicks there. That's pretty funny. All right, Todd, let's get a check of our forecast back here in central Indiana. What can people expect? Many people may be heading back to work for the first day this week.
Yeah, more heat, more humidity, and the chance of storms. I think our bigger concern, Lauren, going to be the heat and humidity because everybody deals with that. The storms, they're just going to be very spotty here later on this afternoon. Temperatures right now are in the 60s and 70s across the area. Mostly sunny skies here throughout the day today. Warm and muggy conditions, highs in the upper 80s. But when you factor in the humidity, it's going to feel more like it's in the low 90s. And again, those chance of storms just spotty here later on today. The time now is 5:27. This is Good Morning Indiana. You're watching. Stay with us. We're back in just a couple minutes.
Show today at 10 on RTV6. This is Good Morning Indiana, working for you.
Now at 5:30 here on Good Morning Indiana, early voting for next month's primary begins today. Working for you, the new measures in place to keep you safe and healthy as you cast your vote. And this year's Tour de Cure may look a little bit different, but the mission is more important than ever before, how your participation could help save lives. But first, we want to welcome you into Good Morning Indiana. I'm Lauren Casey. Todd Clausen is social distancing and working from home on this Tuesday. Todd, what can folks expect as they head out the door this morning?
You know, a lot of heat, a lot of humidity again, Lauren. Not much has changed in this forecast really the past couple days. 88 degrees for your Memorial Day. That was the high temperature. And today we're going to be right back up near that number for your afternoon high. We're starting off this morning in the 60s and 70s. Yesterday we went from about 68 degrees to 81 by the noon hour and then to that high of 88. And really today is almost a carbon copy of yesterday. In fact, we may warm even a little bit quicker here this morning because the skies are actually a little clearer today than they were yesterday morning when we had some cloud cover to start the day. But as we expand out, all the storms are well off to our west, and you notice the direction they're going. They're lifting from Kansas City towards Omaha, so they're going in a northerly direction. We'll just manufacture an isolated thunderstorm here and there later on this afternoon. Your noontime temperature, as I mentioned, 81 degrees, 87 by 4 p.m. Our high, I think, gets up to 88 degrees. Heat index values, though, when you factor in that humidity, it's going to feel about more like the low 90s. So if you are out and about, make sure you have plenty of water here to drink throughout the course of the day. Lauren?
All right, great advice, Todd. Thanks so much. Let's take a look right now at your commute south of the downtown area, I-65. Our view here near Keystone Avenue, in the middle of that construction zone. As you can see, traffic shift in the northbound lane. Southbound lanes restricted down to 2 small lanes. So just keep that in mind. We also have the exit ramps open, so be careful if you are merging in that area. We'll keep you updated if there are any crashes or delays around the metro area, but right now it looks like everything's traveling up to speed. New from overnight, at least one person is dead, several others injured following a multi-vehicle crash. This happened around 12:30 near North Emerson Avenue near 36th Street. We're told that a blue Chevy Camaro, an SUV, and a parked car were all involved. One person in the Camaro died at the hospital. 2 others are in critical condition. A 4th person involved was last listed as stable. Police say the driver of the SUV left the scene, but the passenger passenger who was not injured stayed. At this hour, police are still trying to find out what caused this crash. Now we want to get to the latest on the coronavirus and its impact on Hoosier lives. Deaths from COVID-19 appear to be on the decline. The State Department of Health reporting 8 new COVID-19 deaths on Monday, which is 4 fewer than Sunday. So far, 1,832 Hoosiers have died from the coronavirus. The state also confirms 354 new cases of the virus. So far, 31,715 people in Indiana have been diagnosed with COVID-19. More than 226,000 people have been tested for the virus. That's about a 14% positivity rate. It's not clear if the lower coronavirus numbers can be attributed to a downward trend or a lag in reporting during the holiday weekend. As the state continues to reopen slowly, officials are monitoring and ramping up testing. Today, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway becomes the newest COVID-19 testing site in Marion County. Free testing will take place at the track on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 11 a.m. until 7 p.m. Warren Central High School is a testing site on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. The county is placing testing sites in hot spots to address the disparities of the virus in minorities and older population groups. Now, to make an appointment for either location, you can go to marionhealth.org/IndyCovid. You can also call 317-221-5515. The Indiana State Department of Health is now in a second phase of its study to determine the impact of COVID-19 in the Hoosier State. The study is being done in collaboration with the Fairbanks School of Public Health at IUPUI. Select residents are being asked to participate by invitation only to ensure that sampling is representative of the population. Volunteers are not accepted. State leaders say if you're contacted, it's important to respond.
If you receive a text or a postcard from us at the Indiana State Department of Health, please respond. It's not a scam. When you respond, you'll receive a free COVID-19 test. You'll get the results and your personal information will remain secure. So please participate and help those you love, your community, and our state combat COVID-19.
This is the second phase of testing. 2 more phases are expected to happen in October and April 2021. The study is looking for a total of 20,000 randomly selected Hoosiers to participate. It is 5:35. Early voting starts today in the Indiana primary election. The election will be on June 2nd. Our Alyssa Donovan is joining us live at Broad Ripple High School this morning. That's one of 3 polling locations. Alyssa, there are some precautions in place that people will want to know as they're heading out to vote. What can you tell us?
That's right, Lauren. And the good news is they are expecting quite a decrease in how many people are actually coming to the polls to vote in person. And that's just because they are able to vote by mail this year because of the pandemic. But if you are one of the people that want to come and do that early voting in person at one of the 3 locations, there are some steps being taken to make sure that you are staying safe and healthy, as well as those people that are working the polls. Now, all poll workers will be wearing personal protective equipment, including masks. We're told they will also be washing their hands and using sanitizer frequently throughout the day. And when you arrive, there will be markings on the floor to make sure that you stay at least 6 feet away from the other people in line. Voters will also be encouraged to use hand sanitizer and will be given special hand coverings to use on the touch voting screens so that you don't have to touch them directly. This week is your opportunity for early voting. 22 polling locations will be open on Election Day, which is next Tuesday.
That is significantly lower than what we've seen in previous elections, and that is because of the pandemic. It's because of the pandemic, and it's significantly more difficult to recruit election workers this election cycle during the pandemic.
There really is no line between checking.
Typically, past elections, there have been more than 200 polling locations. Now, early voting is all this week here at Broad Ripple High School, as well as Beech Grove High School and the City County Building downtown. Voting starts today at 10 a.m. and during the week, it will be from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Saturday and Sunday. Voting will be from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Reporting live, Alyssa Donovan, RTV6.
All right, Alyssa, thank you. Well, one issue on the ballot here in Marion County is a potential tax hike in Washington Township. Washington Township Schools is seeking $418 million, both in operating and construction referenda. The supporters say the funds are necessary to improve student safety and improve teacher pay and protect property values, but others say a pandemic is the wrong time to raise taxes.
I just wish that they would actually withdraw the referendum until this whole situation with the virus is over and they can actually do some planning that has some meaning and some sense to it, as opposed to conjectures.
And I understand why some folks may say folks have lost their jobs, but schools aren't closing. Once schools are back in session, we have to move forward with being teachers.
Well, the construction money would in part be used for improving and renovating athletic facilities, expanding student learning spaces, replacing HVAC and electrical systems, and improving access for those with disabilities. If both are approved, the average Washington Township homeowner with a home of $180,500 would pay an extra $32.41 a month in property taxes. Voters in Beech Grove are also deciding on 2 referenda. One is an operating referendum that will, among other things, address teacher pay, help buy new buses, and enhance student safety. The second is a construction referendum that will focus on renovations and improvements at the district schools. RTV6 is committed to connecting you to job opportunities through our Hiring Hoosiers initiative, and one of the ways is with the Hiring Hoosiers job feed. A Hiring Hoosiers partner, Chewy.com, which is a pet products company, is now hiring. They have a variety of positions open at their Clayton, Indiana fulfillment center that's out in Hendricks County. Just visit Chewy.com/jobs. Another Hiring Hoosiers partner, Spherion, has several open positions posted on its website that include a shipping clerk, a forklift operator in Lebanon. There's also a warehouse position and a forklift operator spots open in Plainfield. You can just head to Spherion.com and search Indiana jobs. For a list of additional job opportunities, what careers are taking off, and what education is available for you to get the job of your dreams, you can just go right now to hiringhoosiers.com. Well, in just a few weeks, the annual Tour de Cure for Diabetes is taking place across Indiana. The event raises thousands of dollars for the American Diabetes Association. Our Kelsey Anderson is joining us this morning with more on where your contributions will go.
When you donate to the Tour de Cure event, you are donating to diabetes research and aiding the American Diabetes Association and helping those who are fighting the disease. But 17-year-old Jessie Hall says the money you donate does so much more.
So I'm going on 10 years of being a diabetic.
When Jessie Hall was 7, she was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. She says her family didn't know much about the disease, so they got involved with the ADA.
As kind of like a safe place, because I didn't know anyone who had type 1 diabetes, even remotely close to me.
She says through the ADA, she learned about their annual summer camp.
It's so amazing. I started going, obviously, when I was in 2nd grade, and I've gone ever since.
Hall tells me, along with making lifelong friends, the camp showed her at a very young age she wasn't alone in her battle against type 1 diabetes.
I struggled with that a lot because there's no one when I was little in my hometown that had this. And so seeing a bunch of other people and being so close with them and being able to relate to them more than you can relate to anyone else that you're around is so awesome.
Her passion for the camp is just one reason she's involved in Tour de Cure.
And I know that there are kids out there that can't, or that are not as fortunate as I was to be able to go. And so it is very close to my heart to be able to raise money for kids who cannot afford to go, to be able to go.
And she hopes even though the event is different this year, you'll still participate.
Just don't let the circumstances change what would normally happen. Just get out, stay active, do your part.
The Tour de Cure event will take place virtually this year on June 6th. They'll be live streaming a lot of different things over on Facebook Live. Hall and all the other participants hope that you'll still join them. I'm Kelsey Anderson, RTV6.
All right, thank you there, Kelsey. It's time for our Takeout Tuesday forecast. We've been highlighting businesses throughout this pandemic of ones that are open. Of course, as the state starts to open a little bit further, you can dine in at some locations, including my pick of the week for Ambrosia, right there on College and Kessler. They have a little patio out front. Only 50% capacity on the patio right now, and no more than 6 people per party. So reservations are recommended, but the carry-out menu is available from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. every single day. My top take, the penne rustica. It's my all-time favorite. The chicken parm can't be beaten, the lasagna as well. So if dinner is in your plans, and maybe you're sick of cooking or grilling out after the holiday weekend, maybe you want to get some takeout, not only from Ambrosia, but some of the other restaurants here across central Indiana. 88 degrees today. It is hot. It is humid. Some spotty storms are possible this afternoon as well. We'll talk more about those storm chances for you coming up in just a little bit.
Macy's stores and Macy's.com.
Welcome back. It is 5:46. The World Health Organization is hitting pause on studying hydroxychloroquine as a potential COVID-19 treatment due to safety concerns. The decision was made after an observational study was published in the medical journal The Lancet on Friday. It described how seriously ill, hospitalized COVID-19 patients treated with hydroxychloroquine and chloroquine were more likely to die. President Trump has touted the drug, even saying he was taking it himself. On Sunday, though, in an interview on Sinclair Broadcasting, he said he was no longer taking the medication after completing the 2-week course. As Americans return to work after the holiday weekend, concerns now turn to a second peak in coronavirus cases. This as the U.S. approaches another grim milestone, 100,000 coronavirus-related deaths. ABC's Inez de la Cotera has more now.
This morning, as the COVID-19 death toll in the U.S. nears 100,000, one official issuing a new travel advisory within the U.S. after a lack of social distancing over the Memorial Day holiday. People seen here packing pools and lounging together at the Lake of the Ozarks in Missouri.
It was just because we've been so people deprived for so long.
In St. Louis County, nearly 200 miles away, city officials are now urging anyone at the popular Missouri vacation destination over the weekend to self-quarantine for 14 days or until they test negative for COVID-19.
The beautiful thing about the Strip is there's 10 bars down here. There was a lot of people here, so it's very hard to social distance.
But the St. Louis County Health Department calls the behavior over the weekend reckless, saying it endangers countless people and risks setting us back substantially from the progress made fighting the virus.
I knew it was going to be pretty busy, but masks were not worn, so it's pretty much to each their own.
At the New Jersey shore, people walking shoulder to shoulder on boardwalks. Tubers in Texas overflowed rivers. It comes as 11 states report an increasing number of COVID-19 cases, including North Carolina, which is seeing its highest number of hospitalizations so far. Arkansas going through a second peak, but hard-hit New York seeing a different trend.
Our numbers going down. The rest of the country, the numbers going up.
And some parts of the nation still following CDC guidelines. In Illinois, many settled for online tributes instead of parades on Monday.
And the World Health Organization issued a new warning saying even areas with declining cases of COVID-19 are at risk for an immediate second peak if they ease restrictions too soon. Inez de la Cotera, ABC News, Washington.
It is 5:49. The U.S. Army has to get creative now with its recruiting methods. They haven't been able to do those in-person recruiting events due to the pandemic, so its esports team has been stepping in to fill the gap. The team has been running and sponsoring online tournaments that will help get word out about Army opportunities. A recruiter can follow up with players online. Recruiters say they are now able to reach people that would not normally think about an Army career. Soldiers on the Army esports team are assigned to do things like this as their full-time job in the military for up to 3 years. Sounds like a pretty good gig. All right, Todd, let's get a check of our forecast right now as people are heading back to work after a 3-day weekend.
Yeah, you know, rain chances are in the forecast once again, but if you remember back to last week, I always saw a lot of social media posts saying, oh, the holiday weekend's going to be a wet one. I kept saying, you can't follow those apps. You gotta follow the forecast because those apps make it look like it's going to rain the entire time, and it was a beautiful holiday weekend, just some isolated storms here or there. As you look at our rain chances going forward now, as we progress throughout the remainder of the week, the rain chances are going to start to ramp up as we start to see a cold front head in our direction. Today, it's just a spot storm chance again this afternoon. Thursday is the day we're going to target here to be potentially the wettest across the area. And then Friday, we'll have decreasing clouds and rain coverage as that front moves off towards the east. A live look right now from IMS back towards downtown Indianapolis. A beautiful morning. You see that haze, a little bit of humidity out there, but you also see plenty of clear skies, just a few fair weather clouds and temperatures this morning that are sitting in the 60s and 70s across the area. 68 in Bloomington as well as Indy. 69 is the current temperature up in the Tipton area. So as we work our way throughout the day today, it's very, very similar to yesterday. In fact, I think the days are almost a carbon copy. We'll start off with hazy sunshine. We'll warm very quickly, and then eventually we'll start to see some isolated storms make their way into the area. But the main storm track has been off to our west, with these storms basically going from south to north. They haven't made much progression off towards the east, so we just have to manufacture our storms with the daytime heating. And you'll see first the cumulus clouds start to build up, and then eventually some of these clouds start to produce some downpours and a little bit of lightning. Not expecting any severe weather today, but again, some isolated storms will be possible throughout the peak heating of the day into the early evening hours before they start to fade away once the sun starts to set. So it's only about a 20 to 30% chance you see an isolated storm here throughout the day today. So I'd plan on the heat, the humidity, and just know that these storms are possible. I wouldn't really have you cancel any outdoor plans. That's how spotty they are going to be. Up to 87 today for your high temperature at 4 p.m. Some areas close to 90. Wouldn't be shocked if some areas actually top the 90-degree mark later on this afternoon, but it's going to feel like it's in the 90s for just about everybody. Our average high is 76 this time of year, so we're running in the 80s for today, tomorrow, and then eventually as we work our way towards the end of the week, we're going to see our temperatures get back to seasonable levels. Not only will it become seasonable, but we're also going to have a lower humidity levels as well, as it's going to start to become a lot more comfortable across the area. Wednesday, rain chances, as you see, a little bit higher across the area, but Thursday on your 7-day planning forecast shows the most widespread shower and thunderstorm action at 83 degrees. But look at Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Mostly sunny skies, lower humidity, Lauren, and temperatures that'll be in the mid-70s.
All right, Todd, thanks so much. Here's a live look right now at traffic as you're heading out on the roads this Tuesday. This is over on the west side, I-465 near I-74. Traffic is moving along up to speed, both northbound and southbound through that area. No crashes, no delays right now to slow you down. Well, gas prices are slowly going back up, but not enough to cause much pain at the pump. AAA says the national average for a gallon of regular is $1.96. That's about 9 cents more than it was just a week ago. Indiana is right at the national average. According to AAA, gas hasn't been this cheap on Memorial Day weekend in almost 20 years. The uptick is expected to continue due to demand growing as the economy here reopens. Pizza Hut is celebrating 2020 grads the best way they know how, with some free food, of course. The chain is giving away 500,000 medium one-topping pizzas. To get yours, you can visit pizzahut.com. Once you're there, you can sign up for a Hut Rewards account and receive a coupon. You gotta act fast, though. The giveaway ends Thursday, May 28th. Coupons can be redeemed online through June 4th. The time right now is 5:54. We'll keep you updated on more stories. Stick around. We'll be right back after the break.
Make a donation or volunteer today.
Well, graduating from college is a big deal, even a bigger deal when you're just 13 years old. So meet Jack Rico. He's part of the class of 2020 and the youngest grad of Fullerton College out in California. That's not all. He now has 4 associate's degrees under his belt. Jack started college when he was just 11 years old, and that means he earned them in just 2 years. He's now heading to the University of Nevada on a full scholarship to get his bachelor's degree in history. Pretty impressive. Well, that is a 13-year-old genius, and I have a 40-year-old weather genius at home right now talking about our Tuesday forecast. Todd, that's you. What can we expect today?
Oh, now you just gave my age away to everybody here, Lauren. Thankfully, my age is below the high temperature for the day today. We're going to be up to 88 later on this afternoon. You factor in the humidity, it's going to feel like it's in the 90s. Lots of hazy sunshine today and just the chance of a few isolated storms. We'll talk more about those storm chances for you coming up when Good Morning Indiana continues, when Raphael joins Lauren and I. Stay with us. We're back in just a couple minutes.